Hey guys, it's Robyn from GrillGirl.com, and I don't know why I have been nervous about launching this new series, but here we go. I am pulling the band-aid off, and this all starts with a big announcement, you guys. So I teased this on Instagram, and I've been sitting on this information for quite some time, but the contract has been signed, and I've actually completed my table of contents and my first chapter, and I am writing a new cookbook. And this is a new direction I'm going. So if you follow me, you know that my content for quite some time, since going back to 2008, has been focused on grilling. And while I love grilling and I have grilled literally all the things, this cookbook is going to be based on animal-based eating. So not specifically about grilling, but definitely there will be lots of grilling recipes in this book. So let me back up and say, why animal-based eating and what is that? Right? So if you guys watched my last series on YouTube, I did a full series on the carnivore diet, and I did one last video that most of you guys never saw because YouTube removed it based on something I said. And if you want to go watch that video, it's on Rumble, so you can watch it. And that video, I was actually talking about a parasite cleanse I did, but the medicine I was talking about, YouTube did not like what I said, and I'll just leave it at that. And so if you are interested in doing a parasite cleanse and want to learn more, that video goes into all the juicy details. I even share things I expelled out of my body. I put pictures on. It's pretty gnarly, but the reason I shared all of these things and the reason I even did carnivore to begin with was to heal my gut. And that was the whole journey, the whole reasoning behind doing carnivore, because it is an elimination diet. And I had and currently have SIBO, which stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And in fact, this is much more common than people realize. The book I am reading right now, called Super Gut by William Davis, Dr. William Davis, says 1 out of 3 people actually have SIBO. This means that the bacteria that lives in your colon goes up your entire digestive tract and causes all kinds of issues. It wreaks havoc on your body. This bacteria, the byproduct of this is it's called endotoxin, but basically this causes like leaky gut. This leaks out of your gut, causes all kinds of issues in your body, things like autoimmune. Like you guys know, when your gut is wrecked, and your gut being your second brain, it is no bueno because it can be tied to things like depression and all the things. And most people do have wrecked guts because of our current food system, right? Like all the things we're exposed to, like antibiotics, glyphosate in your food, which acts like an antibiotic for the good gut bacteria that we need. So yes, so I have SIBO. That is why I had it. I treated it. It has come back. Now I am still treating it, and that's why I did the carnivore diet. And in that video, at the very end of that series, I start talking about how I actually, for me personally, don't think carnivore was good for me long term. And I get into whenever I've been strict keto, strict carnivore, and do a drastic reduction of all carbs, I really start feeling like shit. And that's when I've noticed I start having heart palpitations and dizziness spells. And in my heart of hearts, that just felt like that's not a good thing, right? And so I actually read the book called Cellular Health by Dr. Mercola, and it really opened up my eyes and made me think about carbs differently. And I will also say I've been reading the work of Dr. Ray Peat, who is known as the godfather of metabolic health, which is what Dr. Mercola wrote his book on. And so Dr. Mercola wrote a best-selling book on keto, and he says in this book, it was really hard for him to accept the data that says that yes, your body actually does need sugar. I know if you've been doing carnivore, that is really hard to accept. And my journey was, I actually met with a functional nutritionist about 2 years ago, trying to deal with my gut back then too. thyroid issues, all the things. She discovered I had adrenal fatigue, super common for women who are stressed out all the time like myself, but it also means you're living off of stress hormones, and I want to get into that in a second. But when I first started working with Ashley Ald, who was awesome as my functional nutritionist, she was making recommended meal plans for me. And at the time, I remember thinking, I can't believe how many carbs are in this. Like in my mind, I was like, carbs are bad, carbs are the devil. I can't believe how many carbs are in her meal plan. And it wasn't even like a lot of carbs. It was like fruit, juices. It's not like she was like, drink a Coke or eat a bunch of pasta. No, it was like natural carbs, like fructose, fruit, And so, but at the time, my brain had been so conditioned to only think of carbs as bad that I couldn't even accept her advice, even though she was trying to heal me. That is why I was going to see her. And she had studied under Ray Peat. So the idea behind metabolic health is really just understanding how your body works and functions optimally. And so, yes, when you do the carnivore diet, and I did the carnivore diet to help heal my gut, and essentially, like for SIBO, they tell you to basically, you can't eat anything because that's not supposed to be the entire length of your digestive system, but it is, can actually eat things like fiber and vegetables. So that just causes more, it's even worse, right? It makes it worse. So that was part of the reason I did the carnivore diet. And also, I've eaten low carb and keto for literally years. If you remember the cookbook I wrote back or published back in 2019, it was about electric smoking, but it was with paleo and keto swap outs. And so this has been a journey for me. And I'd say that like anyone out there, if you consider yourself an open-minded person, you have to question things that you solidly believe in when presented with new evidence, being able to accept it, right? So just like Mercola said when he wrote his book, or when he was presented with information that your body needs carbs, it was hard for him to accept because he had written a New York Times bestseller on keto. And so I just wanted to get into, this is why I believe the animal-based approach is the correct approach, because I do believe, based on the research, that your body does need some carbs. Does this mean that you need to go out and start eating Doritos and a bunch of junk? No. And I believe that the reason people do so well on the carnivore diet is that it forces them to get rid of all of the crap in our food system, right? Like if you only eat meat and animal-based foods, that is a great way to cut out a lot of junk. However, the data says long-term, this is not what your body wants. And I can share with you guys, like for example, if you do some research on cortisol and adrenaline and your stress hormones, when you put yourself into ketosis, you actually force your body to start producing cortisol because you are stressing it out. Its preferred food source, your brain wants sugar, is sugar. And so when you force your body to start burning fat as its preferred fuel, and moreover, it will start turning muscle and using muscle for its energy. So those who understand metabolic health understand that yes, short-term carnivore can be beneficial to reset your body, but long-term forcing yourself into ketosis releases a stream of stress hormones into your body, and running off of cortisol is not a good thing. The next step of that is when you force yourself into going into ketosis, yes, you may feel great. So even if you make an effort to not eat seed oils, you've had them before, right? And so when you go into ketosis and your body's has been exposed to PUFAs and then starts breaking down those PUFAs in your body, you're also releasing that. So what a lot of the metabolic health people are saying is it's actually not good long-term for your metabolism and your thyroid to do that. And so your body actually does need sugar. It actually helps balance your stress hormones. And so this information is backed up in the research by Dr. Mercola. There's a book I just read called Calories In, Calories Out on Amazon that was great, that really has synthesized the work of Dr. Ray Peat. It's very well referenced. So I'm just saying, for me, and a lot of people out there, I think carnivore was great short term, but long term, I think animal based eating is the way to go when you really want to think about your metabolic health, revving your metabolism, giving your body what it needs so it's not running on stress hormones. And so for me, this is netted out in an animal-based diet. So you might ask, what is an animal-based diet? In my mind, it's like a modified carnivore. You're still making the base of your eating protein based from animals, but you are allowed to eat fruit and honey. Now, why not vegetables? Well, vegetables have oxalates. What are oxalates? Oxalates are defense chemicals. So in the wild, vegetables try to defend themselves from predators by releasing defense chemicals. So when we eat those defense chemicals, it's not always good for us, right? Now, I will say, and the idea behind my cookbook is all about being approachable animal based. In my mind, being on a diet and a restrictive diet at that is worthless. Like if you just tell yourself you can't have things, that just makes you want them more. So can you ever have a vegetable in your life? Of course you can. But what is optimal for your body? So think about fruits. Fruits want to be eaten. That is the fruit of the plant. It does not have the oxalates and the defense chemicals like leafy vegetables do. Like spinach, for example, is very high in oxalates. Kale, and if you remember Paul Saladino, he used to be known as Carnivore MD, used to make like his videos were like kale is bullshit. Behind the scenes, Kale had a PR campaign. They had lobbying money behind them to make kale sexy. And I actually do believe that that's what the vegan diet is actually what forced a lot of people to do the extreme polar opposite, go on the carnivore diet. And what I've done, and you guys may not realize this, but my background outside of GrillGirl, I have like a whole other career, is in data analytics. And the data that I have seen, I actually did a deep dive on the carnivore subreddit. And what I discovered is that most of those peoples are ex-vegans. So of course they overdid it on the vegetables and got way too many oxalates. Really unhealthy for you, right? Oxalates in high quantities are not good for you. And so I actually do think, as someone with a gut that's very wrecked, I believe that I've eaten so many vegetables over the years. In my mind, I was trying to always eat healthy, and I was following the nutritional dogma and girl brain that's like, I'm just going to eat a salad, and that's like all I ever ate all the time. I actually think eating so many vegetables contributed to wrecking my gut. So that's just me. But the premise behind an animal-based diet is that you are eating, the majority of your diet comes from animal-based foods, proteins, fats, anything that comes from an animal, but you can have fruit and honey. So you are giving your body the sugar that it needs to functionally work and to keep your metabolism going. And so I think it's really pretty awesome. I talked a lot about Dr. Mercola, but let's talk about Paul Saladino here for a second. He is the father of the animal-based diet, and I think it's so commendable to him as someone who is a hardcore pusher and proponent of the carnivore diet to then recognize when he saw research that was conflicting to all the things, about carnivore, that he was open-minded enough to accept that research and retract his stance. And he changed his name from Carnivore MD online, and he has a huge following, to Paul Saladino. And he is the creator of the animal-based diet. So kudos to you, Paul, for being open-minded enough to accept new information and to listening to your body, all the things. So I'm going to share this with you guys. This is actually the base of an animal-based diet. Let me see if I can find the button here. Let me share a screen. And I just want to share with you guys what this looks like. So if you look here, this is what's sent. If you download or subscribe to Paul Saladino's website, you can download his guide. And this basically says, what can you eat? So obviously, the proteins. Grass-fed beef, pasture-raised pork, pasture-raised chicken, organ meat is a big one, bone broth, wild-caught fish, corn and soy-free eggs. Why does he say that? Because chickens are monogastric animals, and they are usually fed corn and soy. I can say, as someone who owns chickens, how hard it is to find chicken feed that is not made with corn and soy. But when they eat PUFAs, you eat PUFAs. Same that goes with chicken, pork. If that's what they eat, that's what you eat. That is why cows are such a beautiful animal. They are so awesome for so many different reasons, but one of them is that they have 4 stomachs, and they can convert whatever crapola we may feed them into saturated fat. So even when they eat PUFAs, we do not eat PUFAs. So thank you for that, cows. So here you can see what's acceptable. So low toxicity, so raw dairy, all sweet fruit. And there's a lot of things that you don't even think of as fruit, right? Avocados, olives, pumpkin, squash, zucchini, cucumber is a fruit. So you just want to eat those parts of the plants that are meant to be eaten. Of course, you want your healthy fats for cooking, tallow, suet, grass-fed butter. And, for me, I think it's okay once your gut is healed. I think fermented vegetables are an awesome idea. And so what you're going to see in my cookbook is, for being approachable, animal-based, if your body can handle it, like cooking with some herbs, who cares, right? For me, I think coconut oil is awesome. What Dr. Mercola has said in his book, coconut oil is, and also Dr. Ray Peat have said, it's so good for you. It's great for your metabolism. It's also a natural antibacterial. So I'm very pro coconut oil. So I, based on my research, don't necessarily agree with every single little thing that Paul does as far as how he would eat, but I'm sharing with you how I'm making it work for myself. And really, I'll share with you guys what's really kind of awesome is that I've done a ton of research, and what I've found is that a lot of you guys that have done the carnivore diet did it to heal your gut, and that's exactly why I did it. And so, but for long term, I really do think animal-based is the way to go, because your body does need some carbs. And so for most people, if you're like me, you did the carnivore diet to heal your gut, but what I'm working in my cookbook is a gradual reintroduction phase to eat carbs. If you're like me and you have SIBO, eating carbs is hard. Eating that fiber, like I could eat fruit and it rocks my body. So I'm doing like a tapered approach of moving these, of meal planning and doing a phased approach of adding in the fruits and whatnot. And also I'm incorporating what I've learned from Dr. William Davis on making your own yogurt to heal your gut. So while this cookbook is all about, animal-based eating, it's so much more. I think of it as like a manual for someone like myself who's had these gut issues for years, to help others who are also suffering and trying to heal their gut. Because think about it, if your gut is your second brain, it is so important to get it working and functional and healing it. And all these other issues you may be having could be based on like dysbiosis, right? Dysbiosis meaning your gut being out of whack, leaky gut, SIBO, all the things. So I'm hoping that this will provide a framework for others to also heal their gut while introducing the right carbs and thinking long term about how to eat for your metabolism, and also just not being on a diet, but really thinking of this as a lifestyle. And like I said, you guys, if you eat some vegetables, who cares? But really it's about like fueling your body with what it's optimally meant to have. And I always just think about the Bible, how they always talk about milk, the land of milk and honey, the land of milk and honey. Like those are like some of the 2 most nutritious foods out there, right? And we've demonized them, and it's so sad. And I just want to share with you guys some of the research I've done, just so you know how I've put thought into this cookbook. So if we just do some quick analysis on how people talk about the carnivore diet, I just want you guys to know this is like what I was putting into my thought process for writing this cookbook. So look at how many people have said this provides a framework to heal. And I really do think it provides a framework to heal. However, long term, it's not sustainable, right? So I just wanted you to see that, like, I'm not making this up. This is how people talk, and that I really am writing this book for others who are dealing with these things. The other thing I want to share is this series I just started on YouTube will be basically my opportunity to share with you guys what I'm working on. So I don't know why I've been so nervous about sharing this, just because I really am pivoting. I am at a very kind of big juncture with GrillGirl. Like since 2008, only ever talked about grilling, but behind the scenes, I have become a big time health researcher, and this is such a really awesome opportunity for me to pivot and really focus on what I'm very passionate about right now. So while I love grilling and it will always have a place in my heart, I'm really excited about the opportunity to write this cookbook because it allows me to help more people. Yes, showing women how to grill will always be near and dear to my heart, but if I can also help people heal their gut and eat in a way that really helps them live their best life, then that to me is so exciting and just gives me an opportunity to build my brand and go in a different direction that is really where I'm very passionate these days. So I also did research on animal-based eating to see how people talk on subreddits, just to get an idea on like what do people really care about, so that when I write this book, I'm really hitting the nail on the head about, how do people think about this way of eating? What are their challenges? What I've seen in some of my research is that one of the reasons people can't stick with the carnivore diet is because it is restrictive. And I'm hoping with this book that I can really give you guys ideas and never feel like you're restricted, right? Especially because if you think about all these different vegetables, they feel like vegetables, but they're really fruit. Like a summer squash and zucchini, that's a fruit. Awesome. Butternut squash, all the different winter squashes. Cucumbers are a fruit. So there's a lot you can do with this way of eating. And like I said, is it the end of the world if you eat a vegetable? No. I think the goal here is really showing you how to eat long-term to cut out all those toxins, all those chemicals, all that bullshit that's in the modern food system. Because I swear to you, I think they're trying to kill us and make us sick. And I don't think, I know, because that's how they profit off of us, right? A sick person is a profitable person. So I just wanted to share this big announcement with you guys. I'm really, really excited about this journey. My goal is to give a weekly recap on the recipes I'm working on for this animal-based approach to eating. And I just can't wait to share it with you guys. There's going to be so much recipe development going on. I have over 120 recipes in my table of contents, a lot of beef, a lot of lamb. My publisher just asked me, why are there not more pork recipes? And that's funny because I compete on a whole hog team. I actually don't think pork is that good for you. It's very inflammatory. That's why I'm doing less recipes for that. So I have to explain that to my editor. But all the things, lots of collagen recipes, ways to work in organ meats, and eating the way our ancestors did, right? More nose to tail type cuts, exposing you guys to cuts that you may not have known about that are affordable, that also provide collagen. So I'm just stoked, you guys. It's not a restrictive way of eating. It's an empowering way to eat for optimal metabolism, not feeling restricted, and really listening to your body, right? I've been listening to my body and it says, I need carbs. As someone who's been eating low carb for years, I finally started listening to my body. And yes, when your body says, I'm dizzy, I haven't eaten carbs in 3 days, why is that? Well, maybe that's not healthy, right? If my heart's palpitating while I'm trying to do carnivore, that's my body giving me an SOS. And I just want to share something with you guys. I couldn't find the screenshots from the book because it was on Kindle. It was hard to share. Cortisol and going in ketosis. So let's just see. What is the relationship in the human body between ketosis and cortisol? And let's just see what it says. Metabolic stress, initial metabolic stress and cortisol spike. So I'm sharing this with you guys because I don't think people have ever thought about this before, but this is what happens when you force your body to go into ketosis. So does it make sense to tell your body to release a bunch of stress hormones? Like, I don't know. I don't think so, right? So when a person first begins a ketogenic diet and significantly restricts carbohydrates, the body undergoes a metabolic shift from primarily using glucose for fuel to burning fat and producing ketones. This transition can be a physiological stressor, cortisol increase. So then gluconeogenesis. It's a One of the functions is to help the body produce glucose from non-carbohydrate sources. Meaning, since you're not giving your body carbs, it has to produce them somewhere else. So a lot of times this happens by using like your muscles for fuel. So the research I'm seeing is telling me that that's not good, that making your body run on stress hormones is not ideal. Life is already really stressful. I, as someone with adrenal fatigue, meaning I am already running on stress hormones, aka adrenaline, because I stay stressed all the time and I'm trying to heal that, which means that you kind of just like hit this burnout tiredness phase because your body is exhausted from living on adrenaline and always being stressed. So I just can't imagine how then forcing your body to do that can be helpful. And as I'm reading the correlation between doing that long term and thyroid, it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And that is why I think the animal-based diet is really a great way to eat for like your metabolism and your long-term health and really like how your body works and giving it what it needs. So I know there's going to be haters out there that are like, the carnivore diet, it's awesome, I've never felt better. I totally hear you on that, and honestly, if you're doing it and you feel great, keep doing what you're doing, just like what Paul Saladino says. But I'm letting you guys know what the research says, what Ray Peat's research says, which a lot of people are healing their bodies with. So I can't ignore this data. You guys follow me on my stories. I'm a truther. I do a lot of research. So I am open-minded when I see information that conflicts what I thought to be true. I'm open-minded enough to take it into account. Some people will get cognitive dissonance and be like, nope, that doesn't fit in with what I believe to be true. Well, that's on you, right? But this is the direction I'm going, you guys. And I'm excited to share. This is like, I'm really happy to pivot. Yes, I love grilling, but this is like a new chapter, literally and figuratively. This book will be finished. My deadline is in May. So the next 6-7 months are going to be a fury of recipe development and writing on top of all the other stuff I'm doing at the same time. So if I have bags under my eyes, it's because I'm working like a million jobs. I have a lot of jobs. I have all the things going on, but this is important to me. I love writing. I love sharing information. I have a journalism degree. I wanted to major in nutrition and I couldn't because I could not do all that organic chemistry. So this is really a great outlet for me. I'm super stoked and I'm excited for you guys to go on this journey with me. So just note, I will be trying to do a weekly video, a weekly podcast, sharing what I'm working on. So let me know what you guys would like to see as far as like, I was even thinking about maybe even starting a Facebook group where we share recipes. But first and foremost, I will be recording this on YouTube and sharing on Instagram. So thank you for being part of my journey. And with that, I will say goodbye until the next video where we dig into me working on the first chapter. But the recipes I'm working on first, based on my timeline, are collagen. And I think what a lot of people do on carnivore and just low carb eating in general is that they eat lean cuts and they forget that your body really needs the collagen. And Dr. Ray Peat's work actually promotes collagen. Like you really need a balance, and that's what your body needs for so many things. Skin, hair, bones, your gut, that's a big one, right? So stay tuned for that. And thanks for going on this journey with me, you guys. I'm excited and can't wait to share more. So bye y'all.